Hello everyone, good evening. Today's session is taken by CS Alok, and we are continuing the second part of our SLCM subject series. Now I'm going to start, and we will meet with your questions at the end of this session. Thank you.
Meaning of draft offer document, letter of offer, and red herring prospectus. This is what we are going to understand right now. So, we have understood the basics so far, what are the types of issues and all that. Let's go to the further concepts. Draft offer document means the offer document in the draft stage. That is the very common sense. That means it is not final. So draft of a document, the very word draft tells us that it is not final. That is the first thing we need to understand. The draft of a documents are filed with the SEBI, that is at least 30 days prior to filing of the offer document with the ROC. That means first we should always file the draft offer documents to SEBI, then we must file to the ROC and obviously the stock exchanges. The SEBI may give certain changes. They may give certain changes when you file to them 30 days before you file to ROC, you are giving to SEBI. Please listen very carefully. Every line makes a difference. So when you submit it, SEBI may change and they may tell some changes in the draft of a document, and the issuer or the lead merchant banker shall carry out such changes in the draft of a document. That is, the person who is managing the issue, that is the lead merchant banker, they have to make the changes when SEBI has got the draft of a document. And only after they make the changes, they can file the offer document with ROC and stock exchanges. The draft offer document is always available on the SEBI website. So any public can give the comment, that is 21 days from the filing of the draft of the document with SEBI. So if you file day 1, if you file the draft of a documents with SEBI, for 21 days from then it will be on the SEBI website, and the public can give comments about the draft of a documents, what are the concerns they are having, what are the doubts they are having, or any mistakes, everything they can tell. That is about that. So what did we understand? We should first file the draft of a documents to SEBI 30 days before we file to ROC and the stock exchanges. So this is the first, then it will come to ROC and stock exchange. Offer document. Offer document means prospectus in case of a public issue, or offer for sale and letter of offer in case of a rights issue. So please remember, when we call something as offer document, we should understand that we call it as prospectus when there is a public issue or offer for sale, and we call it as letter of offer when there is a rights issue. So please remember, offer document means prospectus and letter of offer, both are offer document only, but we call prospectus whenever there is a public issue or offer for sale, and we call offer document as what? As letter of offer if there is a rights issue involved. That is, for the existing shareholders we always give rights issue, correct, which is filed with the ROC and stock exchanges. So whether it is prospectus, letter of offer, we need to file with ROC and the stock exchange. An offer document covers all the relevant information to help an investor to make his or her investment decision. That is what we need to understand. See, basically, please remember, when you go to any college, correct, they give you a prospectus, correct, school, college. So that gives all the features of that school, college, what will you get, what are the benefits, what are the facilities. Of course, many times what is given in the prospectus, it will not match in the real college, But there you don't have SEBI, correct? In school and college you don't have SEBI to regulate, but you can't do that in offer document. You cannot offer something, give something else in form of your shares or securities. If you do that, SEBI will take you to task. Because schools and colleges don't have that, they give any sort of prospectus. They tell we have international facility, they'll not even have local facility, correct? So such matters you should be careful in SEBI. Offer document should tell exactly what is there. If you give wrong offer document, the punishment is very severe. We study that further. But for school and college and other things, there is no regulation like SEBI, so they give anything in prospectus. Even if they don't have, they will give false promise. Anyway, red herring prospectus, we come to that. Red herring prospectus is a prospectus which does not have details of either price or number of shares being offered. Red herring prospectus, it is also a prospectus, correct? But it will not give you the details of the price or the number of shares. Then how, sir? It does not give, that means how? So that is basically price discovery. Price discovery. Over the period of time, during the entire process, the price will be discovered. That is only red herring prospectus. This means that in case the price is not disclosed, the number of shares and the upper and lower price bands are disclosed. So they will say the share is rupees 100 to 120. They'll give like this. They won't tell exactly it is 100 or 120 or 110. So that is based on the demand and supply. On the other hand, an issuer can state the issue price and the number of shares are determined later. So you can also state the issue size. What is the entire size of the issue? The number of shares can be determined later. So please understand that whenever we go for red herring prospectus, RHP, for an further public offer, further public offer is after IPO. First is IPO, then is further public offer. So a red herring prospectus for an further public offer can be filed with ROC without the price band, and the issuer in such a case will notify the floor price or price band by way of advertisement 1 day prior to the opening of the issue. So let us understand this properly. So red herring prospectus is what? It is also a prospectus, first point. But it does not, as you can see, it does not have details of price or number of shares. Why? It's a price discovery mechanism. See, in normal offer document, you'll have everything. Correct? Price, size, all of that. But in red herring prospectus, we are going to give a band 100 to 120, for example. 275 to 305. Whatever, they'll give a price band. So what is the exact price will be discovered during the entire process. That is only red herring prospectus. Of course, these basics you may be knowing, but still we need to understand. RHP for an FPO can be, that is further public offer, can be filed with ROC without the price band, and the issuer in such a case will notify the floor price or a price band by way of an advertisement 1 day prior to the opening of the issue. In the case of book building issues, it is a process of price discovery, and the price cannot be determined until the bidding process is completed. Price cannot be determined until the bidding process is completed. Hence, such details are not shown in the red herring prospectus filed with the ROC in terms of provisions of the Companies Act 2013. So please understand that whenever there is a red herring prospectus for FPO, we can go for filing it with ROC without price band, and in such case will notify the floor price or price band by way of advertisement 1 day prior. So before 1 day we will give advertisement. In the case of book building issue, whenever we are doing book building issues, it is a process of price discovery. That is what I told you. We are discovering the price, and the price cannot be determined until the bidding process is completed, because we need to know what is the demand. See, bidding is all about demand. If there is more demand, the price will be higher. So those details are not given in the red herring prospectus. So price is not given in red herring prospectus. Why? Because we should determine the demand. Based on demand, we will discover the price. Price discovery we are going to do. Please understand this. Okay. So as per 2013 Act, we don't have to give price in red herring prospectus. Only on completion of the bidding process, the details of the final price are included in the offer document. That is when we complete the bidding process. So when we complete that bidding process, suppose it is 275 to 305. Suppose the bidding will happen and we finalize that the price is 295 based on the demand in the price discovery mechanism. So this rupees 295 in our example, that is after completing bidding process, details of the final price. So final price, let us say we arrive 295 for example, that's all. So that time in offer document will tell price is 295. The offer document filed thereafter with ROC is called the prospectus. So after we file this red herring prospectus, we call it as prospectus. So first is red herring. Okay. Then we'll get the price. Once we get the price, we will file the prospectus. That is what we need to understand. So now we understood draft offer document, red herring prospectus. We got it, correct? It's price discovery mechanism. Now we go to initial public offering, further public offering. Popularly we call it as IPO and FPO. Public issue of specified securities by an issuer, that is any issuer means company, can be either an IPO or FPO. Common sense. IPO is done by an unlisted issuer while FPO is done by a listed issuer. For the first time you want to be listed, first time ever, as the name goes, initial public offer, initial, first. So you are unlisted public company, you want to become listed on stock exchange. So what will happen? You have to go for IPO. Now if you are already IPO, you want more capital, further public offer, you will go for further public offer. As per ICDR regulations, the issuer shall comply with the following conditions before making an IPO of the specified securities. The conditions need to be satisfied both at the time of filing the draft offer document, what we call as draft red herring prospectus, and at the time of filing the final offer document. That is the prospectus. So whether we are doing red herring prospectus or the final prospectus, we have to follow the ICDR regulations, and only then we can make a initial public offer. This is very important for us to know. So now, applicability of the ICDR regulations 2018. When this is very, very basic, you should know this. Very, very basic. This regulation shall apply to the following. That means to whom? See, now everybody says ICDR, oh, it's so difficult, it's that, it's this. But students don't even first realize to whom does this apply. So first we should understand to whom does this ICDR apply, or in which circumstances, in which cases this applies. So first is initial public offer by an unlisted issuer. That means if you have a public unlisted company and that company wants to be listed, that time what do? We go for IPO, correct? That is what we understood. Initial public offer we understood here. So that time we need to follow ICDR. Rights issue by a listed company. Rights issue, that is for existing shareholders, you are giving further shares. You are taking money and giving further shares. Rights issue. Where the aggregate value issue is 10 crores or more. If it is 10 crores or more, we need to follow ICDR. The simple concept here is when should we follow ICDR, when should we comply with ICDR. Further public offer by listed issuer. Whenever we go for further public offer by listed company. Preferential issue by listed issuer. Preferential allotment, preferential issue. Qualified institutional placement. We call it as QIP, qualified institutional placement, again by a listed company. Again we should follow ICDR. For everything we should follow ICDR, that you don't forget. Initial public offering by Indian Depository Receipt. Rights issue of Indian Depository Receipt. Initial public offer by Small and medium enterprise, this is what we call SME. In fact, now we have SME exchanges only there. You don't have to wait for BSc or NSC. We have a separate SME exchange so that small and medium companies, they can raise capital. See, for them 50 crores is also a very big amount. For big companies, 50 crores is not at all an amount. A listing on the Innovators Growth Platform through an issue or without an issue. Innovators Growth Platform, if you want to list, again you should go for ICDR. Bonus issue by listed company, again you should go for ICDR. So this is all the things about when we should apply the ICDR regulations. So that is about this. In the next video, I will study about eligibility requirements to be complied with for IPO.
So this is our first session on today's ICDR discussion. You guys can do one thing. If you like this session and you want to get notified further and in future about these sessions, so you can follow us on our Telegram channel, and I'm sharing this link with you in chat box. You can join there. So now I'm going to start the second part of this ICDR discussion.
Eligibility requirements to be complied for IPO. So what are the eligibility requirements we need to know? So if anybody wants to go for IPO, what are the eligibility requirements they need to do? So first we will understand actually entities which are not eligible. First we will understand entities which are not eligible. Then we can go to which are eligible. Alright. So if you look at it, entities which are not eligible, the first category is entities which are debarred. That means if the issuer, that means the company who is issuing, or any of its promoters or promoter group, that is anybody who is part of the issuer, promoter group selling shareholders, anybody who is selling the shares, if they are debarred from accessing the capital markets by SEBI. So if they have not complied with laws, SEBI will usually debar them. So the first category is debarred people. So debarred people, can they make an IPO? The answer is no. Because we are studying entities not eligible to make an IPO. Who cannot make an IPO? Who cannot make an IPO? Next we go to promoter or director if they are connected with any debarred entity. If you see this point clearly, if any of the promoters or directors of the issuer company is a promoter, okay, or director of another company which is debarred from accessing capital market by SEBI. Suppose there is A and B, two companies are there. So what are they saying here? If any of the promoter or director or issuer is a promoter or director of another company. So suppose company A wants to go for IPO. Company A wants to go for IPO. Okay, company A wants to go for IPO, but there are some promoter director in company B who are common to company A and company B, and company B is debarred. That time you can't go for IPO. So see this. Promoter or director of a debarred company which is there. So that's why also you can't go. So what you should do, if any promoter or director of the issuer company is a promoter or director of another company, then what you should remove those promoter directors. Otherwise your company cannot go. So company A, company B is having common directors. So they are having common. So what you should do? You should ensure that if company B is debarred and company A wants to go for IPO, you can't have common directors who are debarred, then you can't go for IPO. Then, willful defaulter. Let's have a look at this. If the issuer or any of its promoter or directors is a willful defaulter, issuer, that means the company who is issuing, or any of its promoter or director is a willful defaulter. So willful defaulter is if they have taken some loan and they have not repaid the amounts. Example, famous example, Vijay Mallya is declared as a willful defaulter, correct? So that way, issuer or any of its promoters or directors is a willful defaulter, then what will happen? They are not eligible. We'll again come back to that. They are not eligible to go for IPO. We are studying entities not eligible to make an IPO. So debarred company, or there are two companies and one company is debarred and directors are common, then willful defaulter. Then, as you can see here, if any of the promoter or director of the issuer is a fugitive offender like economic offender, Mehul Choksky, Nirav Modi, correct? They are all economic offenders, fugitive offender. That means they have escaped India and we are not able to catch them. So if any of the promoters or directors of the issuer company is a fugitive offender, then what will happen? They cannot make an IPO, not eligible to make an IPO. Then, next point is all about, first you should know what is this point about. It is about outstanding convertible securities. Outstanding convertible securities. What does that mean? That means the company, for example, has accepted, let's say, some debentures which are convertible. That means, let's say we'll convert it in 2022, we have told, and the issue was made in 2019, simply for example. That means debentures was issued in 2019, debentures will be converted to equity, debentures will be converted to equity in 2022. That means, what is it? This debenture, this security will become outstanding convertible security. It is still pending. Outstanding convertible security it is going to become. Correct? So here what happens when we look at it? If there are any outstanding convertible securities or any right which would entitle any person with any option to receive equity shares of the issuer in future, actually the word future should come, in future, then in that case, they cannot go for IPO. They cannot go for IPO. So, entities not eligible to make IPO. What are the entities not eligible to make IPO? What is it? Any company which is debarred by SEBI, any common company, another company which is debarred by SEBI and they have common promoter or director, then there's a willful defaulter, fugitive offender, or if the issuer company has outstanding convertible securities, you cannot go for IPO. Please remember one thing, if the period of debarment is over, then they can go for IPO. So suppose SEBI has told for some company, you are debarred from 2015 to 2017, for example. So in 2020, if the company wants to go for IPO, they can. Why? See here, the note is very clear. The restrictions under point A and B above, what is point A and B? We studied here, no? Promoters and common, another company where promoter is debarred, and if there are other companies debarred, shall not apply to persons or entities mentioned therein who were debarred, past tense, English, past tense, who were debarred in the past by the SEBI and the period of debarment is over. The important word for us is period of debarment is over as on the date of filing of the draft offer document with SEBI. As on the date of filing of the draft offer document with SEBI. Okay? So when you're filing a draft offer document, if there is no pending debarment, or if the debarment is over, no pending debarment, then you can go for the offer. So debar you know very well, correct? They say in exam, if you copy, we will debar you. Of course, we never saw any student get debarred, but anyway, that is the concept which you need to know. So now, the concept here is all about applicability, and in that we studied which is not applicable in the first place. So now let's go to non-applicability of section regulation 5, subregulation 1 and subregulation 2. Outstanding options granted to employees, whether currently an employee or not, pursuant to any employee stock option scheme, employee stock option scheme as per Companies Act, and the relevant guidance note or accounting standards, if any, issued by ICAI pursuant to Companies Act in this regard. So outstanding options will not come into picture. Fully paid up outstanding convertible securities which are required to be converted on or before the date of filing of the red herring prospectus or the prospectus, as the case may be. So non-applicability of regulation 5 or subregulation 1 and 2 is relating to outstanding options in employee stock option scheme, okay, or fully paid up outstanding convertible securities which are required to be converted on or before the date of the red herring. That non-applicability will be there for us. Okay. Now, eligibility requirements for an IPO. So now we understood who cannot go for IPO. Now we should know what are the eligibility requirements for IPO. So in the next video we'll study eligibility requirements for IPO.
So this is all about today's session. I know most of you guys watch this session after ending like on YouTube day after the session. So I'll suggest you one thing: you can join the session on live, and if you're watching these videos on YouTube or Facebook, so you can find our Telegram channel link in the description of these videos. You can join our Telegram channel from there, and you will get notified from our side before these sessions. So thank you guys. Thank you for being this wonderful audience. Thank you very much.